Today we're going to do a quick walkthrough of Swift Playgrounds About Me, which will show us how to make an app prototype that we can then customize. So let's take a look at this code. The first thing we'll notice is that on the first line it says import Swift UI. This is just calling in the Swift UI library or the user interface library so that we can use features from there and we don't have to build them from scratch. The next thing we'll see is a bunch of structs, and structs are very similar to classes if you're familiar with those. Basically, with either a struct or a class, let's say that we have a person struct or class. We might also have some variables in there like name and age, or some functions like walk and smile. It's just a way of grouping together related data to keep our code organized. And in this case, we've got a struct for each page of our app. And this block of text at the end is just setting up our ability to have a preview on the side of the screen so we can actually see what our code's doing. And this is very important because if we break something, we want to know right away. So the first thing to do is upload an image. We're going to go to the left menu bar, and there you'll see a little add file icon in the corner. And it should be a picture of you, but for our purposes, I'm going to use a picture of my pet fish. Make sure you type the name of the file into the code in the exact same way that you named it. Even capitalization will matter. Now we're going to change the shape of our image by adding just one line of code, and it offers 4 different options and suggests that we comment them out when we are trying them out and changing our mind. In Swift, a comment is just 2 forward slashes before your text, but this does differ across programming languages, so always be sure to check. I liked ellipse best, so for my project I'm going to stick with that. And now we're going to add another modifier, this time to add a border around our image, and we'll be able to tweak later the color, the width, etc. Now I'm sure you guys will notice that the text that they give us to copy and paste is actually made for the circle, but since we used ellipse, we need to change that in our code, and that goes for any other shape that you may have used. And now we can start some customization by changing the color, but one thing to note here is that this doesn't work for all colors. Like if I type in something crazy like chartreuse, that's not going to work, but red will, green will, anything simple. And the reason for this actually goes back to the library. Not every possible color name is going to be in the library, but we can pretty much assume that any basic color will be. And since that library is where we're pulling all of our information and features from, we do have to play by its rules. And next I'm going to tweak the border's line width. I think mine looks best at 5, but feel free to play around with it. The next thing you'll do is replace your name with your actual name, or in my case, the name of your fish, although sadly mine does not have a name because my roommate named him Jared and I didn't like that, so his name is my fish. Then we can modify that text using some of their pre-made modifiers like large title, caption, or footnote. It will also give us some tips on how to customize other things like the font. So you might want to go ahead and pause and just play around with that. You'll notice that when you just type the dot, all of the options pop up, and I'm going to use Zapfino because I think it looks really fancy. Alright, it's introducing some more modifiers. Padding will change the amount of space around the letters and other elements, and foreground color will change the color of the actual text. Background color will change the background of said text. So just a few more things to play around with. This next step is kind of just showing you how to pull it all together into one element so that you can customize things and add new things later on. You don't have to keep this extra piece if you don't want to. I'm not going to, but it is helpful to look through it and make sure that you understand what each line is doing. Now we're going to change the background color. And in order to do this, we're actually going to use an image. We're not actually going to change the color of the background directly. We're just going to make the background an image using one of the image files that's already been uploaded for us. So again, this is where it's going to be really important that you type the name of the file in exactly as it is in the Swift file system. And the reason for using an image instead of actually changing the color of the background directly is because an image can be stretched to fit our full phone screen, our full app. And if we were just changing the background, in this case, you can do it yourself if you'd like to see. If we just change the background, it wouldn't cover it all the way because it would be based off of our elements and not based off of the screen. Alright, and now just because the purple of my background and blue of my text are kind of close together and hard to read, I'm going to add a text shadow so that we can see it better. And here you'll notice that if I make the radius something like 1, the white shadow is really close to the text, whereas it's more spaced out if I do 5. The next page we're going to be working on is our story view, and for this one we have a scroll feature, which is good because when we're writing things, we don't want them to be limited to being only as long as the screen is, and it's really easy to implement. We just have that scroll view again from our library. So then I suggest that we comment out each of these modifiers to see what they do. So padding is the padding between the text and the background, and then frame max width infinity is handling the width of that background, and then the third one will change the actual appearance of it. So in this example, the corner radius. And then the last padding is going to be controlling the padding of the actual text block element in relation to the screen. And of course, we could also comment out this one, which changes the background. And feel free to tweak anything, like I'm going to make the corner radius a little bit higher. Now we'll just update the author name, the title, add a divider, go ahead and add the text blocks and update those too. Something important to notice here is that on the first one, our padding has an array sent to it for top and bottom. This means that we're adding the padding to those two things, but not the left or the right. But in the next one, it's just padding on the bottom. So what would happen here if both of them had that array that said top and bottom is it would be adding twice as much padding in between, because each line would have padding on the bottom and the next line would have padding on the top, giving it a double amount, and we don't want that. So it's very important to notice that the first one has that array, and every subsequent line of text after it will only have padding on the bottom. And now we'll go ahead and group together some related elements just to keep our code legible, organized, and avoid any errors. And now we're going to add a new section containing an image just by cobbling together everything that we've already looked at. It's just group, hstack, a little text line, and a couple of modifiers for the image. And now we'll add another section with a brightly colored header, and again, this is all just using things that we've already looked at. The only modifiers are for the font color, to make it italic, and all we're doing is adding text and adding a divider, grouping it all together, so you can easily recreate this on your own, get creative, make your own sections. And then lastly, we're going to show you how to add just one more block in there so that you can write another story, or maybe this is a blog post type section, so that you can keep on adding to this page. The next section is mostly about customization, but before we get into that, it poses 3 questions to us. For one, how is everything aligned to one side? So the first thing we'll notice is that there are spacers throughout, but there's also padding and the hstack that everything is grouped in that are also working together to make sure that everything is aligned in a certain way. So as we comment those out, we can see exactly what it is that they're doing. Then it asks why it is that we can hide our favorite colors, and as we can see, that's because those elements are grouped within a disclosure group, which allows it to be a drop-down menu format. And we're able to scroll the foods from side to side because of this scroll view that they're grouped within, and we're able to scroll them from side to side rather than vertically because of the horizontal modifier. Now when you go to change your favorite color, you'll have a couple of options on how to do so. You can change it the same way we've been doing, using color names, or if you want to get a little more specific, you can use RGB or HSB or do a shade of gray. RGB basically allows you to change 3 values, red, green, and blue, to get a specific color, or HSB allows you to change the 3 values, hue, saturation, and brightness. You can also add an accent color, so pause the video and take some time to customize. Don't forget to switch out your emojis. So now we're going to move on to making our app a little bit more interactive by including buttons. And these are also very simple, very on par with everything we've been doing so far. So with button, we're going to set our parameter to what we want it to say before it's tapped. In this case, just show random fact. And then wrapped inside of that is going to be a variable for what it's going to show. Variable just means that it can change. That just means that every time that they click the button, they could get a different fun fact. And then this little bit at the end of that line following the question marks, it's just going to be our default fun fact, our default response, so that in the event that we don't have any fun facts in there yet, or maybe we've deleted them so we can update them, if someone clicks the button at that time, then they'll still get a message even if it's not a fun fact. So it's always good to have a default so that your code doesn't break. So up here we're just defining that variable, as I explained, fun fact, which allows it to change every time someone presses it, but we still want it to look consistent every time. So at the bottom in VStack we have all of the modifiers for its appearance. So where those are based off of the variable and not any one specific value of text, every time that they press the button, each fun fact will have the same font and the same size and whatnot. Now, up until now, we've been just doing one line of text, but in this case, we want people to be able to get different fun facts every time. So we're going to put a whole bunch of text into an array, which is basically just a list, so that we can have multiple and that they can always get something new. To do so, we just start and end our array with square brackets and divide each item by a comma. We can do some more customization. We'll just change the background color and update the appearance of the button with modifiers just like we would text.
Tabs give our app structure. We just need to remember to use tab item with each one and tab view to group them overall. In the label line, we'll actually name them and give them an image. We can use system images like we did here with person in the book for home and story, or we can use our own. But we don't need to change this any further than that. We don't need to try to change it into a button on our own. It'll take care of all that for us. Next, it's time to get creative and make a tab from scratch using what you've learned so far. Once you get done with that, we'll add the tab in by using these same steps as we did with Fun Facts View and Story View and all the other ones. Lastly, we can update how the actual app icon will look by going to the left sidebar, hitting App Settings, and then changing the name, placeholder image, or submitting our own image, and the accent color. At this time, if you're on a MacBook, you can download your app. Otherwise, check out some other projects, and thank you for making an app with STREAMWise today.